We are live at Vanderbilt, Georgia. Vandy coming up and on the set. NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer Warren Moon in town for the Titans game this weekend.
For the Titans game and a reunion with the Oilers players, and I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a fun time.
Well, thanks for taking some time to join us here. When you look at, we were just talking about the Mannings. Have you seen that broadcast with Peyton and Eli?
A bit of it. It's a little bit different. I'm a hardcore football guy, so
yeah.
I don't want jokes during the game. I'm going to analyze the game. I look at the game a lot differently than most people look at them. I'm really quiet about it, and so that's kind of what I want to see when I see a game. I don't want to see a lot of comedy.
Shout out to John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, TexasSportsNation.com.
Yes.
He's watching in Houston right now.
Hey, John, how
linked
you doing?
us up with the legend Warren Moon. How did you make the decision to end up in Houston as a free agent from the CFL over Seattle? Everyone thought you would go to the Seahawks.
Yeah, a lot of people did, and I thought I was too when it first started out. But when we got into the bidding with all the different teams, and then they named my head coach in Canada, Hugh Campbell, the head coach in Houston, that was kind of the deciding factor that I'm going to go to a team with a coach that I've had success with. He knows me. He knows my personality. I know his as well. And then they gave me a great financial package. So the combination of those two, that was two of the reasons why I went there.
The only thing they didn't change was the AstroTurf for you.
That didn't change for a while, but they finally did change it, believe it or not. But there were a lot of knee injuries in between there.
Was that a package deal, hiring your coach to entice you to sign?
Brilliant.
You'll have to ask their management that. It was, he was with the LA Express at that time, the USFL, so they hired him away from the USFL. I'm sure they hoped it would help put a feather in the cap for bringing me there, but I was a little surprised by it, but it was a great situation for me. I just thought I had a guy that I could really count on right there. Even though I loved Chuck Knox in Seattle, I'd watched him as a young kid growing up in Los Angeles. He was the head coach at that time. But this just felt more comfortable coming to Houston, and it was more of a challenge. They were a 2-14 team before I got there. I'm coming off of championship teams in Canada. I wanted to go somewhere and help turn an organization around.
You mentioned that when you watch football, you're more serious about it. You're kind of quiet as you watch the games. When you watch college offenses today and how they have evolved, and you were a quarterback that was ahead of his time, and the run and shoot was an offense that was in most ways ahead of its time.
Right.
Do you think to yourself, boy, I'd love to play in some of these offenses? Is there one particular that you watch and think, I really would have put up some stats in this offense?
The game has changed. There's no question about it. College and pros. It's a more quarterback receiver league now than ever before. When I was in the league, it was more balanced. Run the football. You had great running backs and like Eric Dickerson and Emmitt Smith and all these different guys. Today, the running back has to be able to catch the football like a Christian McCaffrey or the kid down in New Orleans. So it's a different game, no question about it. And not only me, but you look at Dan Marino, you look at John Elway, you look at all those guys, they would have thrown for astronomical yards in this type of offense because it's all geared towards the quarterback. You can protect the quarterback better than you've ever protected him before. You can't hit him in the knees. You can't hit him in the head. You can't drive him to the turf. All those things would have been in our favor. And then you got these big receivers running through the secondary that can't be touched after 5 yards. So they're free to roam, and they can't take big hits anymore. So, yeah, it's a quarterback receiver league, and I would have loved to have played in it.
What are some of those attributes that you would say that you need to have right now as a college quarterback to really make an impact on the game?
Well, you've got to really hone in on the fundamentals of the game as far as your footwork and things like that. And these kids today have so much more access to really good quarterback coaching than we've ever had before. Some of them have coaches since they were in junior high school. I think leadership is huge, because you want guys to want to follow you. So the way you do that is by being in the building all the time, lifting weights, watching film. The players see you there all the time. They understand, okay, this guy is really invested, so we're going to follow him. So the quarterback has to be the guy that sets the tone for the whole football team. And yeah, you do have to be talented and all those other things, but you definitely have to have those intangibles of leadership.
But even, starting in high school now, how offenses are catered to the quarterback
right.
and not coaches trying to get a quarterback to cater to their offense a lot of ways. And even how quarterbacks are recruited, how you were recruited, even as a quarterback or not a quarterback at the time, has obviously changed a lot. But I'm curious, just your perspective looking now at seeing how much more quarterback-friendly head coaches, offensive coordinators are.
Yeah, I think the NFL, one of the biggest things they've done besides protect those guys, protect the quarterback, the most important position on the field. they have taken their offenses now and geared them towards what that kid did in college. So if Tua comes out of Alabama, we're going to do the things that made him successful there. If Trevor Lawrence comes out of Clemson, we're going to do the things that made him successful at Clemson, as opposed to trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And I think that's the biggest thing that these offensive coordinators have finally bought into. Take advantage of your abilities of your quarterback and do the things he does best. Don't try and make him do things that he can't do. And I think that's why you see these young guys come in much more prepared, because of the training they've had since junior high school, and their learning curve isn't as steep because they're doing things that they did in college, so they're familiar with it.
What did the CFL do for your development?
It made my game a lot more versatile. You know, when I went up there, I was more of a play-action guy or sprint-out quarterback, but up there I had to throw the ball from the pocket. So when I was up there, I got really good from throwing the football in the pocket. So when I came down here, I could do either one. So any offense you put me in, I was going to be productive. So if I went to Seattle, you know, we led the league in passing there. When I went to Minnesota, so it really didn't matter what offense you put me in, and it was because of my training up there in Canada. It's a very good league, and there's a lot of guys that could benefit from a Canadian Football League or a feeder league down here, like a XFL, like they had last year before it folded, because there's some guys that just quite aren't ready to play, you know, and they need that extra seasoning. And then there's coaches the same way; they need some seasoning, and there's trainers and there's equipment guys. So those leagues are good for everybody, and it just helps the NFL.